You're listening to Breakfast with Pablo on Spirit 1260 Karatha.
Holding an important place in the heart of Aussie music, My Sex are remembered as true pioneers in the down under new wave scene, transforming the turntables in Australia and New Zealand as music grew up into the 80s. They're now back with a brand new single, and joining us on the phone today is Murray Watts. Good morning, Murray.
Hi, how are you? Good to talk to you, Pablo.
Yeah, well, welcome, and thanks for taking your time out today. You guys are back. You got a new single. Things are looking pretty good for My Sex.
Yeah, well, we haven't played for 25 years, so we lost Steve in a car accident in the early 90s, and she really never had any intention of playing until Steve Belby came along and went, "Hey, why don't you guys play and let me come and sing for you?" And we went, "Okay." So the one thing led to another, and now we've actually recorded an album, and we haven't decided a title for it yet, but Somebody is the first single of it.
Somebody's the first single. Are there any working titles for the album? Do you need my help? I'm happy to help.
Yeah, come on, just off the top of your head.
I mean, Pablo's a strong name. I'm just going to put it out there. Obviously, you could work that way into the title.
I'm looking at a street sign in my vehicle at the top of Possum Shoot, it's called. Maybe we might call it Possum Shoot.
What about Possum Shoot Pablo?
Yeah, that's kind of cool. Yeah, I'll put it to the guys and have my manager get back to you.
I want royalties, all right?
Okay.
Now, you guys were huge. 70s and 80s, 7 Countdown Awards, 2 top 10 albums, global success in Austria, France, Canada, and Argentina. I had no idea about that.
I didn't know.
Hey, Wikipedia, it solves everything. And yeah, obviously you had a great career here in Australia before calling it a day, as you said, back in 1985. You got together briefly again in 2011, but what sort of inspired you to sort of kick it all off again for 2016?
Well, we actually have been playing every year. We've played somewhere for a few shows, and Colin Bailey and I have been scoring film and television for the past 20 years, so we've both got pretty busy studios, and every time we play, quite a few people will go, "Hey, we'd love to hear some new recorded music with Steve Belby singing." So we've just done that. We've kind of gone, "Well, God, we've got these great studios and we're always writing music." So we said that Steve basically came and put lyrics to a lot of our stuff, and it's turned out to be an album. We're actually really having a great time recording it, and we're a bit nervous about putting out something without Steve Gilpin's voice on it. But, look, why not? So exactly, why not? Let's just have a bit of fun with music.
Is it a bit of a time warp, or getting back together again? Yeah,
kind of. But it's a funny one. As you get older, the difference between 20 years ago and 30 years ago just becomes a bit of a blur.
Yeah.
It just feels like yesterday that we were in the 1980s. It feels completely normal for us to be playing.
It's funny. I've spoken to. I don't want to classify you guys as old rockers, but I've spoken to rock groups that have sort of been in your era, Baby Animals, Boom Crash Opera, and whatnot, and they're sort of doing the rounds again now, and they often say that they play their music better now than they did back then. Do you sort of agree with that at all?
Totally. Yeah, I couldn't even tell you why, but the band definitely sounds better than it used to.
Less adult beverages, maybe.
Less try hard. It's a bit more chilled. I'd say more listening to each other as opposed to listening to yourself.
And Murray, tell us about the band name and where that came from.
Well, Steve Gilpin had an idea to call it My Sex. It was the name of a song by a band called Ultravox, and a singer called John Fox. This was pre the Ultravox, Vienna, when they were almost punky band, really. But they had a poem that John Fox wrote called My Sex, and Steve said, "Look, that's a great name. Let's lift it, and Yeah, so we did. I mean, I was so nervous about that as a name when I was a green little Kiwi at the age of 21. I couldn't even tell my parents that I'm joining a band going to Australia called My Sex. I couldn't even say it. It still sounds funny when my mother calls us My Sex. That's why.
Classic Gold, today's hits. Spirit.